the North End. This is the North End.
Hello, folks. This is Brian from the North End. I am going to break down Spurs' new transfers. Yes, I said Spurs' new transfers. Yes, looks like they've gotten these transfers done. Am I convinced of it? Not 100% with this transfer window and Spurs' typical record when it comes to transfers in general. But these ones look like they're over the line. Fabrizio Romano saying, here we go on both of them. So I'm taking the risk, put myself out there that this is going to happen, and does look likely. And I'd like to break down each of these players, what they might do for Spurs, what they've done in the past for Juventus, because they are both Juventus players, and the deal itself and how it's structured. Let's start with Dejan Kulusevski, a Swedish international. He's 21 years old, very young, so developing player. Plays off the right-hand side, typically as a right winger. He's also left-footed, so he's sort of an inverted winger, that sort of modern winger that we see in many teams these days as a forward player. He also can play striker, is my understanding. So a bit of a versatile player, plays with both feet. And looks pretty good. Looks like a player that I think will fit well into Spurs side. This is a loan deal with an option to buy at 27, I believe. Is the value of the player, £27 million. There's a few things to consider when thinking about Kulusevski and what he's going to bring to the squad. And I think this is the most important thing. Spurs have been desperate for creativity. We know this. The position that they're dying to fill is a creative midfielder. Kulusevski is not that. He is going to add depth to our squad in a position, I think personally, that we already have a number of players playing in. Whether they're good enough or not is a different scenario. I'm obviously speaking of the Lucas Moura's of the world. And that's sort of his position, and of course there's a few others that play in those positions as well that are kind of maybe not up to snuff, and this player can come in and do a job. Bergwijn is still on the list of potential outgoings, so Bergwijn is also playing in that position. If Bergwijn stays and Kulusevski comes in, we're starting to look like we have a lot of depth in that position. That's what we need. We need depth, we need competition, and we need a level to step up a little bit. Kulusevski's statistics specifically are pretty good. You can see just sort of in the breakdown here, his XG is 1.9. Expected assist 1.2. Those are two things that are positive. Looking at the scouting report in particular, because I think this is probably the statistics that I like to look at when it comes to the value that he's going to add per 90 and the percentage of the key ones to look at here. Assists 0.22. That's 65 percentile. It's not super high per 90, but it's pretty good. His XA, which is expected assist, is 85 in the 85 percentile at 0.26, which is also quite high. And I think that's positive. I have looked at the YouTube, obviously the YouTube reels that go around, and I'm not suggesting that they're an accurate interpretation of what the player is going to bring to the team, but he does look like a player with a good pass and a good eye. Uses a lot of the inside of his foot, even for scoring and for shooting, which means he's generally accurate and looking to be smart with how he uses the ball. A couple other key statistics here is pass completion rate. It's a bit lower than I'd hoped for at 77.2% per 90. It's not terrible, but it's not great. It's in the 57 percentile. So I would expect, him under Conte and with, and maybe getting more minutes, because he wasn't playing a ton at Juventus for the last season or so. So that number might be a bit lower than you'd expect it to be. Another key one, and I think this is massive for Spurs, is the touches in the attacking penalty area at 6.68, 92 percentile per 90. That's massive. That is something that Spurs miss, other than maybe Harry Kane, who gets into the box a lot, and or this season maybe Lucas Moura has. We've seen a little bit more of him getting into the box, doing the things he's capable of doing more often than he used to under Antonio Conte. Another one that is key for me, and I think this is going to be massive, is progressive passes. Progressive passes for Spurs has been a massive issue, and I spoke about this a minute ago in regards to an attacking midfielder. Again, he's not an attacking midfielder, but offering this type of progressive passing is massive. This will add to a lot of what we need in getting into that final third and creation and cutting between the lines that Spurs have generally lacked this season. I'll now move on to what I think is also an incredibly important thing when it comes to Antonio Conte's system and the way we like to play. He does put a lot of specifics on the press and winning the ball up high and making the other team uncomfortable. Of course, that's when he feels like we're able to do that based on the quality of the opposition. But if you look at some of these statistics, his pressures, 23.55 per 90, that's massive. That's huge. 97 90 in the 97 percentile. I think that's probably close to top of the league, which is impressive as hell. And again, that goes to our system. That's something we want to see from all of our forwards, because we need to win the ball up high in the opposition half and regain ball possession and make it really uncomfortable for them. 97 percentile and 23.55 is massive. This also goes to that 1.9 tackles per 90 at 83 percentile. Interceptions 0.93 is a little bit less, but again, he's a forward, so I wouldn't expect a ton of interceptions. It's more about the press. I like this player. I think he's going to be good for Spurs. He's young, as I said, under an Antonio Conte, who did want him at Juventus when he was there, wanted him when he was at Inter. Tried to bring him into Inter from Juventus, didn't work out. But he sees something in the player, and of course, when Conte sees something in the player, you sort of have to go with it. All right, so let's get on to our next player here. I'm just going to bring this up here. And give me 1 second. All right. And we've got Rodrigo Bentancur. I think that's how you say it. We've been struggling with it on this channel to say it correctly, so I hope I've said it correctly this time around. Rodrigo Bentancur scouting report. Let's look at the top statistics here. He's 24, so a bit older in that regard. Plays a midfielder, CDM, center mid, sort of, an 8 to a 6, kind of depending on the system that he's in. Uruguayan international. He's a right footer. 81% of the time. I don't know how much that's going to matter depending on the system they're playing and who he's playing with in our midfield, and whether or not he's an upgrade. I think this is the key thing that's probably bothering most Spurs fans, myself included. Does he do much differently than what we would see from from a Harry Winks, or from an Oliver Skip, or from a Pierre-Emile Højbjerg? These are players that are all kind of similar, and he's kind of similar, perhaps in experience, and the fact that he's played a ton of Champions League football, 3 seasons in the Champions League, 5-time domestic league champion. These things do come with players who come with a winning mentality. I think that will help, certainly in the dressing room, as well as just ability. If you played at the highest level, especially in the Champions League and winning domestic titles with Juventus, you are going to be playing with some good players, and you're going to bring something to the table that a lot of our players currently don't. Let's get into his scouting report a little bit here. Assists is a massive one as well, but let's just look at that. Per 90, 0.13, 81 in the 81 percentile, reasonably high, and I'd expect that to be a statistic that we'd want to see, especially from a CDM, which means he can create from a deeper lying position, which is something Spurs desperately need. We're not playing with the 10 at the moment. You can see that based on the last 3 times we played Chelsea, in particular the last one, when our 3 number 10s, or our 3 supposed number 10s, weren't even on the bench. So the system that we're playing is more of a deep lying playmaker rather than an actual 10. If he has this ability to assist and to get into shot creating, which shot creating actions is at 2.54 per 90 at 78% percentile. That's a good number. Again, that is something that I think goes to the value of this player that potentially we don't have in the squad yet. I think that's something that obviously Conte's probably looked at and said we need a bit more of that. His completion rate is quite high as well, 87.4%. That's a nice, it's solid. It's what you'd expect from a CDM or from a center midfielder in a top team in a top league. So not incredible, not stand out compared to probably what we already have, but it's solid, and that solid is good. And again, I want to go with the key stuff when it comes to the press here. We've got pressures at 22.78 at 88%, tackles 2.9 at 83. That's good for a CDM. That's solid. Again, not massive, but solid. Interceptions is a massive one here. I think this is huge. Again, 2.41. Win the ball back in the midfield and then progress the ball, which is essentially based on these statistics. That's what you're seeing him able to do reasonably well. There's a lot of talk about about both of these players not necessarily being up to snuff when it comes to what we already have and whether or not we should be in for them and be happy about them. There's also the idea that Spurs just need players. We just need recruitments. We need somebody in. They're both loan deals. They're both deals till the end of the season with potential to buy. This is what you could probably do arguably in January. Bringing in a top player who's already playing at a top club is really hard to do because they're already likely in playing in Champions League football or about to be, or challenging for something in a cup tie, whatever the case may be. So these are two players that I think, well, on the periphery at Juventus is a big club with a lot of big players. While on the periphery, have brought in some key attributes that I think Spurs could use. I'm going to hold my full opinion until we see it, because I think that this has been a problem for Spurs. If you look at our last few transfers, in that, just talked about Dembele and Lo Celso in regards to supposed attacking midfielders or number 10s. Both of those players we spent a lot of money on and have fallen through and have been duds. So to get excited about players, and of course I admit I didn't know a heck of a lot about these players. I knew of them, but not a lot about them up until the here we go signing, because I didn't allow myself to get excited, and I'm still not going to. I'm going to refrain from getting overly excited about it, but I'm happy that there's been players coming in. I do want to see some players go out as well. Obviously, some of those players I just spoke about are supposedly on the cusp of leaving. I think that'll be key as well. But on these signings, relatively pleased, relatively happy. I think this will do something for the squad, bringing in players in these positions. It'll push other players for competition, which I think is absolutely key. So I just want to say thank you for watching the North End. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the like and subscribe. Like the video. Subscribe to us if you haven't already. We're a growing channel, just about to pass 100, and we really like the support. And looking forward to more videos. Hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll talk soon. Cheers. Bye.
This is the North End. This is the North